Sony A7V, specs finally confirmed and release date officially locked in for 2025, and trust me, this isn't just another camera launch. This is the kind of upgrade that makes photographers rethink their gear, filmmakers reimagine their workflow, and content creators ask themselves, do I even need anything else? Stick around, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you look at cameras forever. Let's be real, every time Sony drops a new Alpha series camera, it feels like a ripple in the photography world. But the A7V? This isn't just a ripple. This is a wave. And here's the thing, most people only see the headlines: better resolution, faster autofocus, new AI processing. But what's really going on under the hood? And why is everyone suddenly hyped about this release in particular? That's the story I want to walk you through, step by step. Now, before we even get into the specs, think about this. How often do we actually see a camera leap so far forward that it feels like you're holding the future in your hands? Not just an incremental upgrade. Not just a minor bump in megapixels. I'm talking about something that actually redefines what's possible. That's exactly why the A7V is already being whispered about in creative circles like some kind of legend. And finally, it's official. So, what's the big deal? Well, the confirmed specs read like a dream sheet. First up, the new 44-megapixel full-frame sensor. Yes, you heard that right, 44 megapixels, but not just for bragging rights. This sensor is stacked, backside illuminated, and tuned to deliver both insane resolution and lightning-fast readout speeds. Translation? Crisp stills with unreal detail, and video that doesn't choke under pressure. Imagine shooting 8K video at 60 frames per second without worrying about rolling shutter or overheating. That's no longer a fantasy. It's here. But let's pause for a second, because this is where most people glaze over. Oh, another camera with bigger numbers. No. That's not what's happening here. The reason this is such a game changer is because Sony didn't just focus on pixels, they focused on experience. Think about that moment when you're shooting in low light, and your camera just hunts back and forth, missing the subject entirely. Frustrating, right? Now imagine a system so advanced that it locks on instantly, even in near darkness. That's what the new AI-driven autofocus engine does. It doesn't just track faces or eyes anymore, it recognizes entire bodies, animals, vehicles, even insects. If it moves, the A7V knows it. Now, here's the twist. With all this power, you'd think battery life would tank. But nope. Sony redesigned the processing pipeline to be more efficient, meaning you're getting more shots per charge, even while pushing higher resolutions and frame rates. That's not just a small win, it's the difference between missing a once-in-a-lifetime shot and capturing it perfectly. And let me tell you about the screen. Finally, a fully articulating, high-brightness OLED display with touch responsiveness that feels natural. Not clunky, not laggy, but smooth. And for those who love shooting handheld videos or vlogs, this one change alone is enough to make the upgrade worth it. Now, let's talk about the release date. This is where things get spicy. Sony has officially locked in Q2 2025. That means we're just months away from holding this beast. But here's the kicker, the pre-order buzz is already so massive that retailers are preparing for shortages. Yes, even before launch. So, if you're thinking about getting one, you'll want to keep your finger on that pre-order button. At this point, you might be asking, is this camera for me? And that's the million-dollar question. If you're a casual shooter who snaps family photos, maybe not. But if you're a serious content creator, filmmaker, or photographer who wants to push boundaries, then the A7V isn't just a tool, it's a statement. And when you hold it, you're not just holding a camera. You're holding Sony's vision for the future of imaging. But wait, we're only halfway through the story. Because the specs are one thing. The experience? That's another. And in the second half, I'm going to show you exactly why this isn't just hype, but a turning point in the world of cameras. So now that you know the confirmed specs and release window, let's dig into what really makes the Sony A7V special. Because it's not just about numbers, it's about how this camera is going to change the way you shoot. Let's start with video creators. 8K at 60 frames per second is wild, but here's the kicker, it does it with 10-bit 4:2:2 color sampling, internal recording, and no time limits. No more worrying about your camera shutting down mid-shoot. No more needing external recorders just to unlock higher quality. This camera is literally built for cinema right out of the box. And when you see the dynamic range, up to 15 stops, you realize just how far ahead this thing is. Shadows retain detail. Highlights don't blow out. Every frame feels alive. Now think about slow motion. 4K at 240 frames per second. Yes, 240. That means cinematic slow motion that used to require huge, specialized cameras, now in something that fits in your backpack. You could shoot an athlete mid-air, a bird in flight, or even water droplets, and every frame looks like a painting. But maybe you're more into stills. Here's where it gets fun. The A7V isn't just about megapixels. It's about speed. We're talking 30 frames per second bursts at full resolution, with no blackout. That's sports photography on steroids. That's wildlife shooting without missing a beat. That's knowing your camera isn't the bottleneck, you are. And that's liberating. But let's get real for a moment. Specs are impressive, but what about usability? Sony has finally listened to years of feedback. The menus are cleaner. The ergonomics are better. The grip feels natural, the buttons are customizable, and the weather sealing is tough enough for rain, snow, or desert dust. This isn't just a studio camera, it's a camera for the world. And remember that AI autofocus we talked about? It goes deeper than you think. Imagine setting up for a wildlife shoot. You're hidden, quiet, waiting. The moment arrives, the eagle takes flight. The A7V not only locks onto the eagle's eye instantly but predicts its movement before it even happens. That's not marketing fluff. That's machine learning trained on millions of data points, now working in your hands. Now here's the suspense part, what about price? This is where Sony made a bold move. Instead of pricing it out of reach, early reports confirm the A7V will launch at around $3,999. That's still premium, but when you compare it to cinema rigs costing $10,000 or more, it suddenly feels like a steal. Think about it, 8K cinema quality, world-class stills, AI autofocus, all in a compact, reliable body, for under $4,000. That's Sony basically saying, we're not just competing, we're dominating. And that's why the release date in 2025 isn't just exciting, it's monumental. Because every photographer, every filmmaker, every content creator is going to be asking the same question, do I need this? And for a lot of people, the answer will be yes. So here's the big takeaway, this isn't just another upgrade. This is the camera that resets expectations. That makes you rethink what a hybrid camera can be. That makes you ask yourself, if my camera can already do this, what excuse do I have left not to create? And that's why, when the Sony A7V hits shelves in 2025, it won't just be a launch. It'll be a moment in creative history. The kind you'll look back on years from now and say, that's when everything changed. So if you made it this far, congratulations, you're now part of the few who actually understand what's coming. Most people will just see another headline. But you? You know the story behind it. And that story is only just beginning.